You would think that if we're doing this work, it's easy for people to work together. My experiences have been, there's a lot of people involved in this work that's not necessarily as genuine as other people are. I'm just being honest. So I'm very cautious in dealing with people because I'm about getting things done. I'm serious about this. And a lot of times you meet people and not serious. So I went up into the room to meet the brother, and when I walked in, he came down and greeted me, and I was like, I like the brother's spirit. But I could see he was serious. I could just see it right off the top. And after we talked about 5 or 10 minutes, we start opening it up to each other. You know, real recognize real. That's what we say at home in the United States, game recognize game. That means if you got it and I got it, then we know we got it because you can do it. And then we started to recognize it. And as we started to talk more, I started to realize the same experiences that I had had dealing with other people and what their motivations were, he had. So we were both very reluctant to just be all excited about meeting each other because you don't really know who you're meeting. It looks good on the screen, but I met him, I said, this is a good brother. And he said, look man, I'm going to take you somewhere. I said, where's this place? He said, oh, don't worry. He didn't tell me where I was going though. So I didn't expect to walk into no place and see nothing. This is not what I expected. Like, I live in America, and I can tell you, yeah, we got big buildings and stuff like that, but in terms of the genuine, what it takes to produce this, what it takes on the inside, to create something this genuine, with this image, with this kind of feeling, with this kind of spirit, it's not a whole lot of that there. And I've been around America. Almost everywhere you go there, it's not there like that. And when I walked into this place called the Blackhouse Collective, I know they thought I was crazy. So I'm supposed to be this big, this American lecturer and all this kind of stuff, but I'm like, nah, I know what's real. I said, this is real. And then the sister walked out, I'm like, hold on, they got children in the house, and they speak in different languages. I can't speak the language, but I said, okay. I said, I'm in a real place. And I met my sister Zani. Can we give her a round of applause too? Because this, you know, I met this sister then, and I met Brother Thando, and I'm like, they got like a super house team over here. And as we start talking, they start giving me the information. I thought I knew some information. And maybe I know a little bit of history, but it ain't nothing like meeting people on the ground in their home that can really tell you the real history. They done took some of my heroes from me. I'm still mad at them about that, but they done gave me the true history of Azania from the information they have, and so it's made me a better person and made me more effective when I'm speaking to brothers and sisters. Some names I used to say, I don't say no more. Some things I used to do, I don't do no more. I don't say them the same way anymore because I've been learning and gotten better. So I just told that long story to say the Blackhouse Collective has made a wonderful experience. I also want to say my brother Catlejo, right here. Let's give him a round of applause right here. And my brother Oman, he's out there modeling somewhere right now. I don't know where he is, but they've been around the country. This time we come back a second time. We organized it. They organized this whole thing for us. We went to Venda, the University of Venda. We went to Port Elizabeth. We went to East London. I lectured at the University of Nelson Mandela University, and this is our third lecture. I'll be coming here, then we're almost on our way home. And I'm very confident that we're going to start a Straight Black Fire Movement chapter, at least one in Azania. I'm very, very confident because of the experiences that we've had. They've been real, they've been rich, and I just want to thank everybody for that. So what I'm going to do now, again, my standard, I do lectures, and they have visuals, because I can tell you anything. You sit in front of people, I'm sure, all the time and let them hear you talk. I don't do that, because you can get a bunch of people to hear you talk. Maybe some make you agree with, some you don't. I don't give you nothing to agree with. I show it so you see it and know it. We don't have it set up for that today. So what I'm going to do today is different. I'm going to go off the spirit. We talk about African survival in the 21st century. Now let me tell you what happens when I go off spirit. When I do extemporaneous, this is why I don't do extemporaneous. There's a very nice, warm person you see here now. And underneath that, the real person is not that nice a person. And that unnice person don't like white folks, don't like Asiatics, don't like nobody that ain't black. Half the black folks out here fighting against us, I don't like them either. So I can control that when I can sit down and prepare something. When I can't, it just comes out the way it comes out. So I'm saying that to say, depending on how the conversation goes back and forth, I don't say that you're not going to like, but it might be more than I would say under normal circumstances because I can't always control when the truth just comes up. So you might get some stuff I would say that I would not want you to repeat, but it would be actually how I feel in this dialogue, depending on how it goes. So that's one thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say, if you want to say something in the middle of it, don't just sit there yawning and tired. Say something, ask a question. All right, can you say, because we got a few people in here, it's a warm environment. I can look and see most people here, you already have some information. You got stuff under your belt. So you don't need no real long lecture. We can talk today. What do we really want to do? Whatever you want to do, whenever you feel it, just say, hey, look, brother, let's talk about this, and we go that direction. That good with everybody?
Yes, sir.
All right. So first thing I'm going to talk about, I think is important, is really a general context of what we face in the 21st century. So let's go backwards a little bit. Before the Europeans conquered the Western world, they didn't have the same skills that we had in terms of farming, in terms of architecture, in terms of healing. The basic skill and skill set, the fundamental skill sets for civilization were African skill sets. Even the Europeans, they got them when the Moors went into Europe from around 600 to 1492 AD. So they still got those skill sets from African people. They did not know how to navigate the world. They didn't know any of that stuff. So in this millennium, the first major onslaught we faced, and we've been facing the Arab slave invasion, which the Arabs are a European group or white group as well. That's been going on for over 1,300 years. But this millennium, the first major assault we faced was the Atlantic slave trade, where every single African nation was invaded, and they began to kidnap our people and take us across to the diaspora of the world, to the West. Now, what they needed at that time, they were exploring the West, conquering the West. They needed to build a nation. When you need to build a nation, you need architects, you need engineers, you need plumbers, you definitely need agriculturalists, farmers. You need all of these type of skill sets to build a nation. They did not have those skill sets. So what they needed most from Africa was the people who had that skill set to build their nation for them. So if you want to understand why the Atlantic slave trade, is because their interests were in building what we built, great civilizations. They didn't have the skill set, we had it. They're going to take us over there and make us do it. That was the threat at that time. That we would be taken from our continent and it would disrupt families and disrupt civilization on this continent. Part two, second major catastrophe for African people. And in many catastrophes during this period, but I'm talking about the big ones. It's what we call colonialism. This was a different thing. Europe was now poor. They were hungry. And the wealth of the world, as they began to develop and get some of this information and industrialize, the wealth of the world and all the raw materials they needed were where? Right here on the soil of Africa. So now, the mineral wealth and the resource of this continent is what they're after. So what did they do? 1884, 1885, Bismarck, Chancellor of Germany. Actually, the Portuguese, and this is just a side note, anytime there's an assault on African people, you should always look for the so-called Jew. Because somewhere in the center of it, underneath it all, is some magical Zionist Jew that's behind it all. We know that Bismarck was the Chancellor of Germany that called the Berlin Conference. But really, it was the Jews in Portugal, the ones that decided to do it. And it was, what's the guy from, help me out, my brother know you know what I'm talking about, the one that did the rubber, Leopold. Leopold actually started, suggested to Portugal, Jews of Portugal reached out to Berlin, Germany, and they got together. They called the European nations together, 1884 and 1885, and this is what they said. Okay, look, we want the mineral wealth of the African continent. We don't get along with each other that well. But if we go in there fighting with each other, we won't be able to conquer this continent. So, we have guns, we manufacture them, we have gunpowder, they don't. That's our advantage. We don't have no other advantages. We've also, this is just a little side note, prior to the Atlantic slave trade, the Portuguese, again the Jews, had traveled up and down the west coast of Africa, and they had begun raiding on the coastlines, kidnapping women, taking them back to islands off of the coast of Portugal, breeding children that would then be taught the language of their mothers and fathers will be mulatto children that would eventually be the ones, when we talk about Africans, so Africans in slavery, yes, there were legitimate African leaders that participated, but a substantial portion of them, not no one or two, that actually navigated and orchestrated the enslavement of the Africans of this continent were Lancados, which were mulatto, half Jewish, half black children that were made from the kidnapped Africans off the west coast of Africa, taken back to the islands off of Portugal, trained and bred for the very purposes of infiltrating. They can learn the language, they can look, we look at them, think well, they're enough like us, the mothers taught them the language, they can navigate, they can find out who's in power, how do you get to power, how do they make decisions, how are they organized, how ready are they militarily to fight, who are their enemies, who are they upset with, and can then report that back to the Europeans to say, this group doesn't like that group. This is how they operate. If you get to that one guy, you don't have to talk to all these other people down here. He'll make the one decision. What does he like? He likes to drink. Let's give him some rum. You give him rum, you get whatever you want. So it was an orchestrated process to get the Atlantic slave trade. Now, when we start going back to colonialism, it was very similar. They sat down, they said, okay, we got the guns, we got the gunpowder. We already know how to navigate inside and how their systems work because they've been creating that since slavery. Now they say we're going to go and get the mineral wealth of that continent, but we're not going to fight each other. So France, Germany, England, everything, every single one of these folks for everything that they've done to us. And we should not be having no discussions about talking about loving nobody. We haven't even done a good job of loving and protecting ourselves, our women, our children. It's irresponsible for a black man to talk about loving anybody other than a black person until we get ourselves back in black. Now, I'm giving that backdrop to talk about where we are today. If we do our job and study what they've done to us, what we'll understand is the fact that we've even survived what they had in store for us is amazing. But here's the one thing, if you notice, even though they killed more of our people than we can actually quantify in our minds, hundreds of millions. They killed so many people, African people, in the Atlantic slave trade. This is a fact. That the Atlantic shark, I want you to hear this. This is an animal. It works off instinct. It stopped hunting for food in the ocean. Because I want you to understand about Baruti in his book, Kabuka explains, he says, imagine looking out to one of your shores. And as far as the eye can see, all you see is boats coming. We got a wrong idea of what slavery was like. It was unfathomable. So the sharks realized that when they smelled these boats, there were so many bodies, usually less than 50%. They put 200 people in there, 100 of them usually died. So less than 50% of our people made it all the way over. And because when a dead body happens, if you don't get rid of it, it can affect other bodies and kill more people. When they want to enslave you, they throw a whole ship. So the Atlantic sharks stopped hunting for food and just followed the ships. And to this day, I'm talking about it ended, quote unquote, 1865, slavery, quote unquote, and importation ended 1808, supposedly. But to this very day, the migration patterns of the Atlantic shark are in the same patterns that the slave ships went. Because that's their collective memory of how they were eating good during that period of time. So when we talk about the kind of death and carnage that we suffered, you're looking around here, we can't even quantify it. But even in that, notice I never said that their objective was to kill us. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying they didn't kill more of us than we can fathom, but their objective in the first time during slavery, where they killed hundreds of millions, we can't even calculate. The objective was to get the wealth of our knowledge, information, agriculture, and to build a nation for them. Many different nations in the West. The second time, the objective was to get to the mineral wealth. They just killed us in the process of that because that's what they do. This is the first time in the history of the world where it's not just their nature, where they have an established goal and objective. No longer, they got the knowledge now, they got it in books, they got it in technology, they don't need the wisdom yet, they got it. They don't need us to farm the wealth of Africa. Really, as far as they're concerned, we in the way. They have no objective for any use for us, they don't need manual labor, they got machines now. They don't need us for anything in the way that they see it.
Yeah, I bet.
What did he say? That's right. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. And again, I'm not saying that we should, as Africans, should even care if somebody thinks they need us. But like my brother said, he understands this. Their objective is different. It's not a game, it's not something they're looking for. They want one simple thing. They want him, her, you, me. They want us dead.
What?
Death. They don't want nothing in the middle. And they don't want, it's not about anything else but extermination. So what we're going to talk about today, because if we face those two things, and the reason, and just to explain what I usually do is I show it, because it's what I realize. And I'm not there, so I can't say it. But I think if we could have shown our ancestors, with the knowledge that we have today, what it means when those ships are coming to your shore. We could have walked around in 1492 and showed them and spoke to them and said, this was about to happen. I think our ancestors would make some different decisions. If they could see their children and their women being taken away from them and what was going to happen to them, I think we would have done something different. This is the first time in the history of the world where we have the tools to show people this is what they intend to do to us. Let me show you him saying it. So that's why I usually have a screen, because I can sit here and talk to you all night. Ain't nothing like me showing you the white saying, yeah, we're going to exterminate 8 million people off the planet, no question about it. And it's Bill Gates saying it. And you know Bill Gates. I'm not going to give you no random European. I'm going to show you somebody that you know. And I'm going to say, look. Then I'm going to say, I told you they're trying to kill us. Did he say it? Then you're going to argue with him. You can dispute me, because I'm black like you. But you ain't going to dispute the white boy and say, I'm coming to kill you. But I'm telling you, look it up for yourself. Bill Gates, they have a whole foundation, the Eugenics Foundation, follows into eugenics, which is the science of racial extermination. How do you exterminate large numbers of people? It's a science they have. Who comes up with a science of how to kill people? It's white folks. It's called eugenics. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk about the 4 major platforms for racial extermination. Since we know, we were never able to show before what we were facing. Now, I can show you on smaller areas where they've already started, and then I can show you this is what they plan for all of us. Now, we all leave this room and there's nobody's opinion that's involved. Ain't about do I believe, I don't care what you believe. When we see that we're under siege, we're under siege. They're killing us, they either killing us or they're not. And when you can show it, it's different. You know, the eyes can, once people get it for themselves, we understand it. So what I'm going to do today, I don't have the visual, but I'm going to talk to you through the 4 major platforms of the racial extermination of African people. There are a lot of issues that we have, and I'm talking about the 4 major, primary, international ways they're exterminating us.
Yeah, King.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I like this, brother. I like that. Give me something back, man. That's my man right there. I got a video from you, so you make sure that you make video, man. I need some back. That's what I need, man. That's what I need. I like it. I'm from Southeast. That's how we do it. Give me something back. So I'm going to talk about the 4 ways. And then get into it. If you got any questions, just like my brother, just say it. Whatever you need, let's get into it. I'm going to save the most dangerous one for last. The other 3, you can, but the last one is the most deadly because it's the most sophisticated. The first one is chemical and biological warfare. Basically, the idea is give them something, preferably that they take for themselves, that they put into their body that will kill them. And so some of the different ways they do that, one is vaccinations. What is the vaccination? Now, are there legitimate good vaccinations? Of course. I mean, no, there are some vaccinations that are really good. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that we should take any of them because we know who's giving it to us. But hear what I'm saying. The vaccination, the idea of it is, there's a disease that you could get. Here's something we can give that can prevent that. The concept is not bad. The problem is who has the concept. It's not the concept. It's the people that orchestrate the concept, because their only objective is to exterminate us. So the idea of a vaccination, if it was an African doing it from an African perspective, they would say something like, we get cholera. If you take this medicine or whatever the case may be, it'll prevent you from being able to get cholera because it does something to the system that naturally prevents that from happening. There'll be no problem. That's how we do it. We're preventative. We're holistic. That ain't who these folks are. These folks say, how do I exterminate 50 million people before they get here? So they think, okay, we got to get them here, 50 million here, we got to worry about them. Okay, we'll do some of that. But what about the 50 million that's on the way? Let's kill them. So good example. In Kenya, this was in 2014. Again, you can put this on your iPhone. I can show it, but you can look at it and go online. Yeah, you go to Kenya. The Kenyan doctors found that a UN, United Nations, the only thing they united in is extermination of African people, that the UN gave Kenya a vaccination for tetanus. Guess what the Kenyan doctors found in it? An anti-fertility agent. It prevents women from getting pregnant. So now the Kenyan government has paid for and accepted a sterilization campaign that they've given to between 500 and 1 million of their own women before they found out what it was. So they're giving this to their women to tell them don't get tetanus, even though I don't even know if anybody got tetanus. But under the guise of humanitarianism, the Kenyan government, I want you to understand, this is the thing about the vaccination and the chemical biological warfare. They didn't come and shoot the system with it. They got the government to say, hey, we think that these white folks have something good for us, these Asiatics have something good for us. Let's take this to prevent tetanus. They take their women, come on, get this shot. You don't want tetanus. Shoot the woman up. You got 500,000 to 1 million of your own women that can never have a child. And Kenya had doctors who had enough sense to at least test it at some point. How many African nations don't have nobody that ain't tested nothing? Because some white folks paid some black person that's a chief that all the people trust to say, make all your people take this shot. And they get the shot. And now our people are poisoned and die. So that's one of the major ways. When you see vaccination, brothers and sisters, run. Am I saying that there's no medicine that's good? I ain't saying that. Yes, sir. When you see vaccination, it means death. I give you 5-letter word for vaccination. Black death. Two 5-letter words. Black death is genocide. But it's not just the vaccinations. What they also know is this. Different groups of people have different diets. We are a people who grew up in a climate where fruits and vegetables are plentiful. We didn't grow up in no icebox in Europe. Do we eat meat? Yeah, we got chickens right around, so we do eat that. But we didn't do it like they do it. We didn't eat it 5 times a day, every day, all day. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, okay, brother. Remember, like, we drink, see this alcohol. Like I said, you vaccinate you.
Help me out. What do you say? I know you said something about the alcohol.
It's contaminated already, the alcohol.
Yeah, so.
He's asking for food.
Okay, to your point, yeah, about the alcohol. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. In the United States of America, they have alcohols that are targeted for whites. But guess what? They have a whole group of alcohol targeted for black people called malt liquor. Here's the difference. The alcohol that's targeted to whites is the general alcohol you'll see around the world that people drink. It's basic alcohol. The malt liquor has a negative impact on men's reproductive organs and capacity to produce sperm. So the malt liquor is like almost like taking a mild crack in your system. It destroys, it makes men impotent, it makes them incapable of producing the same amount of sperm and to produce children. So yes, they put it in alcohol. So what you want to see, and I'm not saying yay or nay on alcohol, that's not my point. This is what you want to look at. If you're getting alcohol that everybody's getting, then you may think, okay, this might be okay.
Yeah.
If you're getting alcohol that's only coming to the black community, when you go to the white community, you don't see the alcohol, don't touch that stuff. It's death. I'm glad you asked that because chemical biological warfare, one of the major ways, I wouldn't even brought it up if you would have said it. In America, they got us addicted to malt liquor. Like do y'all remember, anybody here heard of Run DMC? The rap group? Nobody? You remember them? Okay. Not Run, but DMC, the other brother. The second brother.
Yeah, I know you.
You know him.
Yeah,
he got addicted to malt liquor to the point where he was drinking like 8 of them a day. You know what he can't talk now? He can't talk, man. He lost his voice and everything. Totally destroyed his life. And it's something they've done to, like, I can't even count the number of black men in America. So yes, they do target some specific things. And to the point, the diet. So what they do is, They don't have to even just poison it. If they get you on a diet that is not conducive to your natural system, again, we African people, we got fruits and vegetables. Our ancestors knew the herbs to take to deal with it. If I talk to people here, say, oh yeah, we do this, we already know what to do. What they do is they come in and change the normal habitat. So the young people used to get up in the morning, get an avocado, eat that, good. No, you don't do that no more. Now you go up in the morning, you get some cereal, you put some milk in it. Well, black people are lactose intolerant. So you put milk in there, now you have one issue. But then you go past that, oh, but I'm on the way to school, I'm on a pack of cookies now. Ain't nothing but sugar. Everywhere I go in Africa, the natural things that are produced from the natural culture, we don't put a bunch of sugar and stuff. Why? Because it's not healthy for us. It's a drug to black people. It's a drug period, really. But they make sure we get a sweet tooth for all this sugar. So then we start paying after our addiction to sugar, and now we're feeding our children and each other stuff that has no material value going into our system. Now we start getting bigger, more and more overweight, obesity. Now we start getting high blood pressure. Now we start getting all kind of diseases, who we then go to who to try to fix? To the whites, who then give us more medicine, little white pills, and make sure the pills are always white. That's the message. More and more poison. And now you start taking the pills, and you had high blood pressure, but now you leave out of there, your blood pressure might come down, but now you're sicker than you were with the high blood pressure. Then you get a brother that's like, I'm bleeding out my, when I go to urine, I'm bleeding now. Now I can't get, I can't do the things I like to do, or sister, she can't get pregnant. Okay? So it's a system of chemical biological warfare where it's very sophisticated, because if you don't do the vaccine, they're like, okay, we didn't get them the vaccine, we got it. Because some of the vaccines work like this. They don't kill you right away. They might have a 25-year incubation period. So what happens is, they say, okay, let's get 15 million black people in this region here to get this vaccination. Well, what they can say is, okay, now let's plan to go take that region in 25 years. We don't think that far ahead. We don't even remember we took the vaccine when we was 5. But when we 30, you have this big thing in this region. All these black people are dying. We don't know what it is. They call it some fancy disease. Then they move in and start taking the region. That's what they did. So it's very sophisticated. And I'm sharing it with you because these are things we got. Nobody can tell you this. Create the Straight Black Pride platform. Under the Pride platform, we have what we call Straight Black Gardening. We're in the U.S. and wherever we go, we just teach black people right in your backyard how to grow your own food. Now, on the surface, of course, it's just us growing our own food, getting back to the base. That's not what it's about. We know that they're poisoning us, so we're beginning the process now with everyday people. Maybe you're not going to be a farmer, but you're going to be having some of your own stuff in your own yard. You're going to learn the process of planting a tomato from a seed, then taking the seed out of some of those tomatoes, drying them out, and putting them back in the ground, which ain't that hard, and letting them come up the next season and growing your food, which our ancestors did for thousands of years. And we take that idea, U.S., we take it around to Europe, and now we're here in Africa, and we're going to do the same thing, Straight Black Pride. Hey, you got a house? Okay. Let's just start a little garden here. We call it Straight Black Gardening, but really it's racial survival. So how do we do it? 2 ways. One, we come up with the platform to fix it. We start making our own food. We start growing our own stuff. But 2, and again, it's very different than what I'm doing now, I'm talking. But when you show it, it's different. See, when we talk here today, everybody gets it different. They walk away with something different. Different when I got the screen. It's a different form of information exchange. When I show you, and you see the Europeans saying, this is what we're doing to kill black people. And then I show you me outside with my children doing it. You see it, it's different. Everybody walks away with the exact same thing. Everybody knows what it looks like to go and participate in racial liberation, and it ain't that difficult. So, those 2 processes, education and informing people, I don't care who the black person is, I don't care how far gone they are. If they sit there and listen to somebody white saying, we're going to kill you by poisoning you, they don't want to die. You don't have to argue with them. See, if you try to tell them that, they're going to argue with you all night and in the morning. And knock on the door in the morning and tell you you're still wrong. But if you show them the European scene, and you structure it properly, there's nothing they can't say. And so that's what we've learned. The best form of education in the modern context of the 21st century, show people. You can show them better than you can tell them. Once they see it, they own it now, and they can't lie to themselves. So we teach, and we come up with the solutions and do the things like growing our own food to do that. Somebody else had a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know actually about Dr. Sebi. Why are we not teaching more of what Dr. Sebi was teaching and what Dr. Sebi was portraying to every person, that we should eat from the soil and we should heal ourselves instead of taking our food from the white community or the white population that kills us?
Well, I would say it like this. I would say those of us that are teaching Dr. Sebi and working with Dr. Sebi and Dr. Afrikan and others, that's what we're doing. So for instance, I'm not a Dr. Sebi. I'm not going to sit here and I can't tell you what I can tell you is chemical biological warfare will kill you. We should make food for ourselves. Then the expert and the Dr. Sebi, they can take it the next step, comes along and take it so we work together. So this is part of that process. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to do what Dr. Sebi did the way he did it. Somebody does have to do that. My job is to let everybody know Dr. Sebi's right. Go over there and make your own food for yourself. And then those people who do teach that, they do that. And we all do it together so then we get to the end result. Everybody with that? My brother.
My question was around about that those brothers from the States and Dr. Sebi and all those policymakers. So with the thing that obviously the white man wants to kill us. So do we trust those brothers, their products? Because can the white man really allow that product to come all the way to Africa and then safe for us to use? What would you say about that?
I would say it like this, and it's an excellent question, because people ask it all the time. What we do is a couple things. One, I would say in general, not only can you trust a black person more than you can trust whites. They're not all of them, but I'm saying, yeah, you can generally trust black people more than you trust whites. We don't have the same interest in killing our people. But I would also say, here's the beautiful thing about that. When I would come here, I wouldn't ask you about a product. Why would I ask the most richest soil on the planet? About, you got the land. I'm going to say, let's go out to the dirt, let's dig it up, here's something, let's put it here. You should be selling it to us. you should be making money off of selling us in America products. Now, I'm not saying that not some things that we would have as black people to offer here. We certainly should, but the real wealth of the earth is right here with you. It doesn't make sense on this particular discussion. What I can bring you, I've been 500 years living with these euros. I know this euro. I can tell you what he's trying to do. I can give you that. Ain't nobody gonna do that better than me, okay? But what you got stuff I ain't got. I don't have access to my own language. I don't know how to speak no African language. I speak no good white folk crack language. That's what I speak. So you can help me with that. You can help me with culture. You can help me with that. You can help with the land that we can build these products. You can start securing your land and say, let's build a product for ourselves, and then we can buy it. See, there's a lot of wealth here. See, this is another thing. This is off the subject but a little bit, because I think it's relevant. This is what we got to learn to do. And like I said before, remember I said it's so difficult because there's so many egos in this thing? Here's the thing. I know what I do. And I do it well, and I'm always doing it because who I am. I'm not going to try to do what you do. So if you do something well, my job is not to try to take what you do. My job is to get you in a position where you can do it more so that we can both do it all together. What we have not learned to do is to look around the world and say, what do black people in America have that's of benefit? What do black people in Europe have that's of benefit? What do the brothers and sisters have of Africa that are benefit? Okay, what are the things that we all have that can work? Can we put our egos aside? We're losing. Why are we egotistical? We're losing. We ain't winning. What is the ego for? Why don't we put all that aside and say, sister, you make clothes? Okay, this right here. We have a sister in Zimbabwe. We have a movement, Straight Black Pride. We saw her seamstress and what she said, man, you do great work. Would you like to make the clothes for Straight Black Pride? This is our movement. We don't believe in none of this stuff. Do you believe it? Yeah, I agree. It's simple. You want to be out seamstress? Shit. Why not? So now, the Straight Black Pride movement, I just went back, I wish I would have brought the suitcase, I can show you. She's made uniforms for the sisters that I'm going to take back and they're going to try them if they like it. Our official uniforms will be made in Zimbabwe that we ship to the United States of America. And here's the question. Do you really think I can't find a seamstress or a tailor in the United States of America? I can find a black one, right? I don't want to. Why? Because that's something that I saw that she was already doing here. She does it well, it's effective, and we can build a bridge. Now we're working together. And ain't nobody gonna look flyer than us when we get there, because nobody got what she got there, so we're doing it, you know what I'm saying? It's easy, she's gonna make money, we're gonna look better than everybody else, and we're working together as African people on the planet. And And in that light with the products that he's talking about, the same thing happened. We get into this dirt, we figure out how to produce the products that heal us and deal with different things. The first thing I looked at when I was riding around Johannesburg, I looked at the size of the yards, and I looked at the size of the yards in the US, and I'm saying, why ain't nobody growing food? Then remember I was with Thunder, I was like, nobody's growing food. I'm saying, all we gotta do is get some boxes, some wood, put it up, put some dirt in there, and we start growing stuff because we're doing it in the US. So even though people have small yards here, you actually have enough space to grow your own food. And I know because I'm doing it at my house, it's no bigger than the ones that we have in this region. This is something that has to be sponsored and done between the Joburg. I'm just a person that can come and see. I'm an African anywhere I go, okay? But this is where you live. Someone here would have to be on the ground to make this move, but this is what we've seen. We drive past these big fields and we see a bunch of trash in people's neighborhoods. I mean, trash everywhere. So we were saying, man, it's a beautiful place if they just pick up the trash. So of course we started playing, but they said, this is what we need. We need a campaign called Clean Joburg. Not a campaign for the government to do it. For the black people to say, we're going to clean our own neighborhood because it builds pride and integrity. But in doing that, think about it like this. If that area with all that grass and fertile soil right there is good enough for bottles and trash, is it also not good enough for us to grow our own food? So then that means that the second part of the Clean Joburg campaign would be, now we're going to take these fields, and instead of just letting them sit there and look pretty, we're going to mark them off and do what he said. Here's where we're going to grow tomatoes. Here's where we're going to grow whatever else I don't know what you can, whatever you can grow in this region, avocados. Here's where we're going to do that. And this right here in Joburg. And you already have the land to do it because you got trash fields out there. There's just trash fields and just dirt and grass, which means you have everything you need except for what the brother said, the agreement, the idea. So which means somebody's job now would be, we got to go to the churches, we got to go to the chief, whoever it is that has power in Joburg with the people, in the community, local community person to say, look, let's do this. We all come sit in the room and say, look, this ain't about competing. We're going to clean up all our neighborhoods because we all black. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do Sunday morning cleanups, which means at 6 o'clock, everybody in the neighborhood is going to come outside. And we're going to all clean up the trash, put it in the dump, and then somebody will go dump it and everything like that. We're going to do that for a month or two. Then once we have cleaned up Joburg, the next phase of it is going to be planting season anyway. We're going to put dirt out there, we're going to start planting crops, and we're going to go do it in these same neighborhoods where we used to have trash. We're going to take pictures of it, and we're going to video it while we're doing it each day. So not only can we do it in Joburg, but when we video it, and when we're cooking out after we're doing it and finishing and playing music and having a good time after we've done it in each community and putting it up on Facebook, now brothers and sisters in Congo can say, man, we can do this too. Now brothers and sisters in Ghana can say, you know what, we can do this too. Now people in America can look and say, we can do this too. Something tangible is right within our grasp, all we have to do is do it.
We have to take it back home to say, our own black government has failed us. They will show the advert on the paper about objection to such planting of seeds. Not many people object. And then finally I wanted to say to you, we had another biological welfare that is done under medicine. Hospitals during apartheid used to create black people to be mentally insane. The issue of mental illness in this country, in South Africa, in Africa, it is a biological welfare. Nobody is born mad. Nobody. No one. There's no madness. And even in law, they will tell you you have a lucid interval. Even a normal person becomes abnormal. The same like government officials. They are living on drugs every day. And that's where that state of abnormality rises. But what I want to say is that our own South African situation on what you are saying, it is happening on a daily basis. So I will say to you, it is important in terms of platforms, and I fully agree with you that platforms should be to educate our own communities, do our own initiatives, and expose more of these errors and even plots, because these are plots and errors. And these are well calculated things that if we don't rise up, and that's why you find even in our own communities, people don't even think of what we have raised about the issue of you are what you eat, the issue of health consciousness. So I'm saying to you, we have a case study in this country that nobody followed it up about Dr. Basol, Dr. Dek.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Death, you know, and it is a story that went before different commissions. As you know, in Africa we have commissions. So that is the problem, that it went there, and the medical council found that the guy was not ethical, you know, because the issue is around ethics. The same like Ebola. I wanted to say Ebola, HIV, and AIDS in Africa was a genocide. It was planted by American pharmaceutical companies. So what I am trying to say, even at the international court, you want the evidence on this. You can't justify it because it's business as usual. Kill black people as they grow. Like these children, when they grow, they want vaccination. They'll tell them polio. You know polio, you must vaccinate. So we never knew all these things. Even when you are traveling, they will tell you you will catch malaria, you will catch cholera. You know. So what I was trying to round up was to say your racial extermination in African, in South Africa, it is evident, but we need to do more, even post this visit.
Absolutely. And let's go to number 2. Again, the first 3 are in no particular order. Number 2, I do the simple one. It's physical violence, whether it's economic, police brutality, creating warfare for black people to fight each other. It's the invasions, what they call gentrification. They move in, buy up all the property, push the black people out. This is something that they've been doing for thousands of years. You read Destruction of Black Civilization by Dr. Chancellor Williams. Physical invasion, violence, this is something we understand. But they have a different ways to do it. Now they have economic violence, get you to take a loan. Don't let you use the money for what you would use it for. You can take the money out, but you can only use it for stuff that's not going to help the country, and then say, oh, you're in debt to me, and now that you're in debt, collapse your economy and destroy societies. Multitudes of direct aggression and violence. That is another major way, creating wars between 2 different African groups, getting them to kill each other for their interests. That's the second major thing, and why that's so major is because right now, I don't know if you know, I think every country except, the only one that doesn't have a physical military base might be 2 countries, Zimbabwe and another one. There's an Afrikan, African Command. The African nations have allowed the U.S. military to have an actual base. So when we talk about colonialism, this is the difference between then and then. In 1884 and 1885, there was no Africans involved. The white folks met in Europe. There was no internet and no way for us to know they were coming. Then they decided to come into Africa. We were not ready because we didn't know they were coming. It's worse this time. They've gone to the African nations and said, hey, we want to put a base in every one of your countries. And the African leaders, oh, okay, sure. You want to come kill all my people? Come on and bring your base on over here. Give me a couple $1 million to fit my pockets up. I mean, are you serious? Like, I'm not making this up. It's Africa. Look it up. African Command. Every African country. The leaders, come on in. No. Ghana was just caught trying to make a $10 million deal where they was going to let them have prime real estate right downtown Accra, where they could not only come in and have a military base, but they didn't have to get IDs. They didn't have to get driver's license, but they could all drive. They could use for free Ghana's internet and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they was going to give the whole thing away for $10 million. The people found out and the people revolted, so they didn't do it. But the leadership in this continent is just totally selling the interests of the brothers and sisters out. No, that's not true. I mean, the leadership of the entire African world is selling black people out. Because it ain't just here. In America, you got about 2 or 3 leaders, I'm one of them, that you can actually trust, that's actually going to talk about what's in the interest of African people and not going to sell the interest of African people out. Everybody that you see on TV, I'll say outside of Umar Johnson, I can think of, that's a national leader in the United States of America, maybe a governor named Geno Jennings, but besides them, for the most part, all of them have been compromised. And it ain't no different in this country or any other country on this continent, for the most part. For the most part, all of our leadership internationally around the world has been compromised. I'm just telling you the truth. The people aren't as compromised. We got to do something about the leadership. So that's number 2. So number 3, yes sir.
Let me leave you with our second one there. The Shabila massacre. The physical violence that was committed in the weekend. It is June 16, but there are many pockets of struggles. Let's talk about physical violence. You earlier spoke about the genocide of Congo. When South Africa gained the so-called freedom in 1994, remember that in Rwanda, how many people were dying every day. What we call a genocide that happened between April and July. You know, a long night, you know, where there was a book that spoke about live none who can tell that story. So when we are talking about the physical violence aggression, it is again the militarized state. That in every government, we have the power of the military, that their role is to suppress or oppress. So when I was telling you about the Shakutlanga massacre there, that invasion of the people's dignity was that people were killed, not armed, defenseless. And many people, thousands, we are not talking of only 69 people, because the history text is giving a wrong picture. The people who were injured is giving a wrong picture. And they don't link even the Shakutlanga massacre with other massacres that have happened, led by black women as well, on the issue of the identity, the issue of the birth certificate, you know, that people must carry an ID. So the issue that we are raising finally is to say to you, we need to look at in the world, the civil war and the tribal wars that are going on. How do we draw a line of a civil wars that have gone for many years? And then we have tribal wars, which is ethnic and religious wars, the Middle East conflicts. The tribal wars that are in Sudan, in the DRC. So the issue of physical violence, it is around natural resources again. It will go back to the issue of no conflict in Africa is fought just because I want to be the victim. It's fought because somebody wants minerals.
If you don't know that you're a cat, you don't know that mice is food. And you don't know that that big dog is going in the wild and needs to jump the fence. You've got to know what you are. That's the first tenet in culture. Right after that is knowing the threats to your survival. You've got to know your enemies. And what we as African people, the only people on the planet that have not figured it out. We're the only people that sit around in a room. When the Chinese are talking about to do with China, not one Chinese person, not one, I'm saying there's a million Chinese talking about what we're going to do with the Chinese. Not one of them says, what do you think about the black people? Can we do something for them? They never bring you up in the conversation. When some stinking sandcracker Arab, some desert rat is sitting around talking about what they're going to do in the Middle East, or the Middle West, whatever it is, when they talk about what they want to do, not one of them, not one of them says, well, how should we involve our black friends too? Not one stinking Arab ever brings up something for a black person. When some hook-nosed hat, Zionist Jew, is sitting around talking about he will take all the diamonds in Africa and all the diamonds in the world and bleed everybody out of everything in the whole universe, not one time does one Jew on the earth say, well, what about the black people? Shouldn't we make sure they're okay? Now right now, there's 6 feet of dirt that's lonely somewhere, and this guy walking around after raping a little black girl, and I don't even think he's in jail. I'm like, we're the only people, I think it's very important, because this is probably more important than anything else. Even though we're sitting here talking about these folks trying to commit genocide from us, there's somebody in this room. I don't know who it is, I can point you out. I might be looking in your mind right now, they're not all bad. We're the only people that think that way. We've actually got to stop and mature. We got to come back and say, wait a minute. The most important thing to black people should be black life. The way we produce black life, a black man, black woman, and black child. Anything other than that is not the priority right now because we're under siege. Now, we want to be ridiculous and start loving people after we take over this planet and make sure we secure the interests of African people indefinitely. If that's what somebody wants to do, fine. But until we secure the future of that little girl right there, that young man right there, make sure they're in positions of power indefinitely, where there's no threat to their survival on this planet, not one relevant threat to speak of, it's ridiculous for us to be talking about anybody else's interests. Number 3. The interracial miscegenation. Integration. Interracially dating outside your race. We don't understand. There's a book. Dr. Chancellor Wayne documents 6,500 years of actual documented history. The key element in the destruction of black civilization has been one thing: integration. He documents it. He talks about all these great civilizations. Every single one was destroyed by some black person who decided to marry some white person and let them get into power. And those whites, the black folks is marrying because we got this sick thing, we want to love other people. The white folks are marrying because they want to take over and overthrow the civilization, and they can't do it until they attach themselves to the power. So I'm talking about not when we're in the condition we're in now, but when we were ruling. The way we lost all the reason we're in the condition we're in today is because of integrations. Just that simple. Black folks who love other people that ain't black more than they love black people. It ain't no more complex than that. And so what they do, see, many of us don't know this. We think, oh, when a black person has a child with a white, the baby is black. No. The baby is mixed. We just lying to ourselves. The reason this is important is very important. It doesn't mean that that child can't have a black identity inside with black people, but I'm saying the reality of it is, what has history taught us? History has said black people have been exterminated with integration. Whites have not. I'll say it again. Show me in documented history where black people have gone in, slept with all the white folks, and they disappeared, now they're black. Tell me one place. I can tell you, Tasmania, America, where the Native Americans, and now you come out, they white. I can tell you in Brazil, with Dr. Asa Hilliard in the book SBA, The Reawakening of the African Mind, says that through miscegenation, interracial dating, he said, in one generation, a region that was 85% black, in 25 years, was now 15% black, because they had taught all the black men the only thing that's beautiful is somebody white. And all the black women, you want to have a light baby with curly hair. So all the black people went out and made it with whites. And now that region that was all black is all white now. They've done this over and over again in history. Dr. Chandler Williams says every civilization that we lost, in kingdom that we lost that was strong, we lost through this process. If you turn on the television now, you're going to see a white male with a black woman, a black man with a white female. If he ain't with another man. You see Muhammad Ali, black man, I'm the greatest of all. But his daughter married a white male. When you see his grandson, he's purely looks white, but he has the same nose, same eyes, you can see it. And now he's with a white female. That gene gone, washed away. You say, why do black men do it? I'm gonna say something. She asked an excellent question. She said, why do black men do it? I gotta give you an honest answer here. I thought, and for years, one reason a lot of brothers don't like me, I'm hard on black men. Boy, I'm hard on black men. I said, y'all just don't know. And for years I was saying, the black woman is the most loyal woman on the planet. The black woman, the black man, you running around with these white, the whole wasn't, I did this for years. And over the last 5 years, I had to apologize to my brothers. I said, nah. I thought that I put y'all on such a pedestal. I still love y'all. But I lied to myself and I was just wrong. Because I watched what happened. And I said, oh, I see. This is what happened. Before now, the white male only wanted to rape black women. He would not allow black women to marry him. See, my assumption is no black woman want no white male. She knows the black man. Nah. But now I'm looking on TV, and now that they're making it acceptable, and white males now want to commit genocide, and they're acceptable with the fact I'll get a black woman, then I'll breed the seed out. Now all of a sudden, all these black women are arguing for it. And I don't care how revolutionary the sister is. I mean, man, look at this brother out here interracial dating. Yeah, brother, you're right. These brothers are horrible. And look at this sister over here doing it. Well, I mean, black men don't really like, whoa. Oh, so when the man does it, it's a problem. But you revolutionary black sister, but when the black woman bakes down the other side of it, it's okay now. Wait a minute. I thought you was loyal to the race. No. You know why black men do it? The same reason black women do it. Because we told to do it. Whatever the cracker tells the black person to do, they might not come up and say, go marry black. They put it on TV. They put it in your education curriculum. However they do it, they psychologically infect the black mind. And whatever white folk tell us to do is what we do. So white folks have told black women to marry white males. Are black women in South Africa and Azania interested in white boys more than they love their brothers and sisters? I just got out of the car, somebody just told me, a sister just told me that the black women in here want to date white boys. Brother, just told us that, brother. Just talking to somebody. So y'all telling me this not happening. Okay, but let me talk about other places. Nobody wants to say that. I went to Uganda. I'm in Makerere University, 200 students speaking. The brother raised his hand after the lecture. I couldn't believe this. I didn't realize how bad they got it. I couldn't believe a black man asked me this. He's a young brother, 20 years old in college. How do we stop our women from wanting white guys? What? I said, okay. So this idea, you say, why do black men do it? It's not why do black men do it. Why do black people do it? We do it because we do whatever we're told to do by white folks. Whatever the Arab tells the black person, the Arab rules black people, that's what black folks do. Whatever the Chinese tell black people with the Chinese rule, that's what black people do. Whatever the white folks tell black folks to do with the white folks rule, that's what we do. We do what we're told. And our objective is to say, as Africans, no, we do what we want to do in our own interest to save our own race. That's why we do it. So what it means is, going back to the question will be a logical question, how do we change it? If the black mother would look her son in the eye and tell him, this is not a house for you if you go with one of them. A lot of mistakes you can make, that ain't one of them. And if you do, don't come back in this house. The black man wouldn't do it because he loves his mother. The mothers are not taking positions. If the black father told his daughter, under no uncertain terms, that is my enemy, when you see them. If you ever go with one of them, you have abandoned me, you're no longer my daughter. I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. If we made these declarations to our children and we meant it, and I've done it, so I ain't talking about what I think. You talk to my children, there's 3 things they cannot do. They'll tell you, if my 7-year-old daughter, my little 5-year-old son, they wouldn't want to come up and tell you they'd be all bashful, daddy's embarrassing us. What 3 things you can't do? Can't be a cracker lover, can't be a homophile, can't be a pedophile, right? Daddy's not come back to my house. I don't know you. They know that though. So they're not gonna do it. So I don't have to worry about what about he's not gonna do it. Because it's been instilled to them from the time they can even understand what those things were. Those are things that we can do, and we're not doing. We would save our children during the 80s and 90s. Parents said, keep your children out of the street, you can say. So keep them involved in activities in school, keep them active, and they won't be pulled off into insanity. The white folks said, nah, we got something for that, we want all of it. Since you keep your children out of the streets, we'll put the streets in your house. Through the music, through the headphones that your son, now look, I'm telling you, I live in the wealthiest county of black people in America, called Peachtree County, okay? I'm telling you when I grew up, it's the truth. I grew up poor, like, if I wanted to be a thug, I had a justification for trying to do something like that. I used to want, when I was hungry, I would hope there was a piece of cheese in the refrigerator and I was real good. I'll tell you, like, we poor. I know what poor is. But then there's people in a place called Peachtree County, so I live now. These big homes, their parents had made it, $1 million homes and stuff. But when we start getting into the NWA, what happened is, the people that was poor was the ones that were trying to sell drugs to make money. But by the time it became glorified, it was no longer being done out of desperation. Now it was glorious. You have people whose parents are making, got $1 million house. They go to the best schools. He got his pants sagging down, listening to the talking about with a gun in his pocket. Like, what do you want a gun to do? Your parents made it. Your parents were like $300,000 a year. You got a big house and cars. You drive a BMW. Why do you got a gun telling you to steal some, slang some rocks? Because the music culture that was created by them, that was engineered by us, with our spirit and our rhythm and our beats and our see, you had our talent and our blackness over death created a culture of rape. It's very low. In America, under 40, in some areas, at least 70% of women have been sexually abused before 18. I mean, easily. I mean, and I'm gonna say 50% of men. Like, it's so prevalent that nobody talks about it. And they ended up as homosexuals and lesbians because of the sexual abuse, but nobody wants to talk about it. So it's basically this. It's a death system that they perfected with us. So here's the thing to what you're saying. If you're talking about black people from America coming to tell you the truth, that's who I am. I'm not gonna lie to you. Ain't but a couple. Because this is the thing. Even though I'm telling you the truth now, it's a very humbling experience because I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't participate in this culture. Listen, I grew up with this. I grew up with this. So this objectifying of women, this sense of killing black people was cool, hurting people. I hurt a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? I'm not proud of it, you know what I'm saying? It pulled us in. I'm one of the people who got pulled. I didn't get pulled in like most of the brothers and sisters. Some are dead or we got people that became just killing people every day. There's a culture, I didn't get into that, but I'm saying, I'm a product of that same thing. Most of our people are not mature enough to say, they fooled me, I was wrong, I'm not an N-word, this is foolish behavior, and all of this stuff we celebrate is bad, and what we give you is unhealthy for you brothers and sisters. Don't fall for the same tricks that we fell for. So, I'm gonna come to you. So, yes, I'm gonna come through this, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just being honest with you. You have a lot of people from over there that say some positive things. You ain't gonna get a full positive spectrum with them because they're involved in some piece of it. They're involved in some piece of it. They N-wording all day and night, so they're gonna give you a justification why calling each other N-words is good. And if you're not careful, I want you to hear this. Mark this date. Don't ever forget this date. If you're not careful, you can't imagine it now. Listen, I remember I couldn't imagine this. I'm telling you. 15 years from now, you're grown adult children. You say, what's up, my Kappa? How you feeling? Nah, that's my Kappa right there. Nah, man, oh, where my Kappa's at? Okay. You can look, nah, that wouldn't happen. Okay. Listen to what I'm telling you. I seen it happen. I watched it, I lived through it, and I saw it while it was happening. And I was like, I know this ain't right, but what am I going to do? So what I'm doing now is with the best thing I can do. I'm telling you, understand what's happening. When they give you a term that means you have no value and you accept it, you now begin to emulate that which you see yourself as a valueless individual. Having been Africans that were stripped from our Xhosa, from our Zulu, from our Sotho, from our Kole, from our Ga, from our Ashanti. We had all that taken from us. We got a chance to see all packed together, whatever groups we thought we had disagreements about, dealing with these white folks that whatever ethnic group we thought we were is not as important as our African identity. Because the enemies that we are facing do not care about Xhosa. They're going to get rid of your Xhosa. Won't be no Xhosa. Won't be no Zulu. Won't be no Sotho. Won't be nothing. So the reason we're more fit is because our experience has shown us, not because we chose it. When we were here, I'm Ugandan, and you're this, I'm going to enslave you. We was no different, we all African. But the Africans who didn't get to stay and had to go, through our experience, we've reached, in this one area, it's a higher place. It's a higher place not because we're better or nothing like that. It's a higher place because the threat. The threat is African extermination. The threat is not Xhosa extermination. The threat is African extermination. But what happens is, for the African who still has their own ethnic culture and sees that as the primary thing, what happens is, they don't understand what African extermination means. Because they don't see the African. They see the Xhosa, they see this. Well, it's beautiful that you got that, we want that, but that ain't what we're facing. If we were facing the destruction of individual ethnic groups, then that should be something that I'd be on board. The individual ethnic group means nothing when we talk about, I'm coming to you, my brother, when we talk about racial survival. You need to have your ethnic thing because that's what part of being an African is. It's part of being an African. Being Xhosa, you can't be Xhosa and not be African. So don't misunderstand this. The higher ideal, though, is the African. Because the Africans who don't know where they came from, but they're in Brazil, but they are value to our people. The Africans that don't know what group they came from America, but they want to save our race just like any other African in this room wants to save our race. When I was in Uganda, we were sitting down to have a meeting, and the brother was saying, yeah, we're going to set this thing up to bring brothers and sisters from America. I said, oh, let's do that, let's do that. He said, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to study your psychology and your spirit, and we'll be able to place you exactly in the ethnic group that you're part of. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I think that's good, but I don't know what ethnic group I'm part of. I said, that's great. He said, because if you don't know the ethnic group you're part of, you're really not alive. And I was like, wait a minute, Joe. I said, look, that sounds good, but that's how we got enslaved. It ain't about no ethnic. I'm an African, that's my ethnic group. I'm black. You a black brother or sister, you my brother or sister. I said, so I like the idea. I don't even know if you really can do that. You know what I'm saying? But even if it's just because you're saying you can do it, let's go ahead and try out with ethnic group. But I I really don't care about no ethnic group. I'm trying to save a whole race of people. So it got so contentious, and I said to him, look, we fighting a racial war. You think just like the white man. I said, I'm fighting the white man. And if I'm fighting the white man, I need to understand how he thinks so I can fight him. You can't fight him the way you're talking. Because the only thing that matters to you is being Bugandid. And that's why it's easy for them to come and get you to go fight another group of Africans. Because your ethnic group means more to you. The cracker come in, you can't tell the difference for him and your own brother or sister. That's how we got in this situation. If every group of African people would have said no, we would not be here having this conversation. But it was easy for this group to go with that group, that group. So, but I want to be clear. I'm not saying throw away your ethnic identity. Please hear me clearly. I don't want you to get the wrong impression. Ethnic identity is critical. Because those things in that ethnic group, I learned from this ethnic group, and each of those lessons go into the whole African so that we can get the right answers to survive. I'm coming to him first, then her, then you. So he's going to be coming away. Let me just finish what I'm saying. This is critical, though. This is important that it got so contentious in that discussion, I had to leave. Because for him, if you're not going to be part of an ethnic group, then you have no identity. For me, if you're an African, you already have an identity. What's the difference? Who's going to be able to successfully fight for the survival of African ethnic groups or racial groups? And that's something we have to understand.
Speaking about the Zulus, they explain their origin. They say they are from Zulu. Because Shaka Zulu dominated all the Ngunis, so the Ngunis needed to identify themselves and say, hey, we need to have this one collective consciousness because we are different ethnicities. So these guys, they call themselves Zulus, which means this is a collective kingdom. We need to know that we can have such a thing. It happened with Namesi in the first dynasty of Egypt. That he united all the Sudanese, the Nubians, the Putins, and the Bangi, and even the Sumerians into one kingdom called the Black Kingdom, the Egyptian kingdom, the first dynasty. So these ethnicities are of crucial importance. That we don't need to dismantle them or try to degrade them, say, go away with your ethnicities and your Zulus and your Xhosas.
Did anybody hear me say anything? No. Wait a minute. I'm just asking a question, brother. Let me ask a question. Did anybody hear me say anything close or remotely like we should dismantle our ethnicity? No. Okay, that's what we make. Go ahead.
Anyway, I'm going to this point. Why? Because it's the way we talk Brazil. And we want to sound like we're black and conscious. This is a talk that is a rhetoric to each and everyone, whereas we are using it as a pedagogy to teach us about black consciousness. So you need to understand that I'm responding at home. We already have this consciousness where people are saying we don't need to use our identity. Whereas our identity or ethnicity has a science. That is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you degrade. I'm saying it has a science that can help us. And it becomes a problem to access the science without the understanding of the principle that I use in these ethnicities. Similar to the European or Catholicism principle, where you need levels and a hierarchy to understand the full scale of the esoteric existence of their country.
In your ethnic culture, you have stuff that we don't know. It's a huge benefit to us. So if I say it's a benefit, I clearly don't want you to get rid of it. What I am saying is this, though. There's a hierarchy, and we are getting it wrong. Which one is the hierarchy? Are you more your ethnicity? Are you more your race? And because we've had to do it, we get it, we're more our race. What I'm saying is, and this is a perfect example, I'm saying, I want to get back up and finish. This is a miss. I'm not saying you're going to get ethnicity. I'm just saying on the hierarchy, if I'm looking at something that's happening, I'm not going, is this white boy messing with a Zulu? Or is he messing with a Xhosa? It doesn't matter. If he's black, that's my brother. I'm not caring what ethnic group he is if he's getting mistreated, because if I'm thinking that way, I've lost the battle already. When the white boy comes up, he said they do the ethnic stuff. When the white boy comes up, do you think he asks what ethnic group that white boy is if somebody black is doing harm to him? No. He does not. It is racial. And we don't get that. So you don't throw away your ethnicity. Please understand me. There is no ethnic groups without their ethnicity. That's what makes the African, all of these ethnicities. But the hierarchy is the racial hierarchy. And that's something that I was saying before we missed, and I think we might still be missing here. Go ahead and finish, my brother.
So, violence, and when they exhibit their youth or stage or initiation or what we call a rite of passage are done through violent acts. So, European, in the conquest of colonizing Africans, they've used what we know, the culture of violence. Like the Romans using the sweet guards to guide the church. And they use their pagan violence understanding. Like example, where inside the church, the Sessi, where she hypnotized each and everybody. When they're hypnotized, they become lambs and swallow them. So already we are swallowed by the church and the monopolizing of the church of education, cultural system, and economy. So in a system that we try to think like, okay, we are going to break down racial system now. And racial power. The church doesn't have a racial power, but the church uses racism as a main front to keep us busy and fighting. The war that we're in now is a war of what you believe in.
We need to understand who we are first of all. I don't care whether you come from America, you don't know who you are, you are a black person. And in you, in your blood, you carry all your ancestors with you. All of your ancestors, from the first person, maybe let's say your real name is Kuman, you're a boy from Kuman. All the Kumanos around the world, they're inside your blood.
That's right.
And until black men and black women understand who he is. So we have to start by brainwashing of the mind. Because all of us here, we are sick. All of us, we are sick, we are dead. I can name some of the things that might make you to be, unpleasant, but I'm sorry, this is the truth. We are sick in terms of we are not ourselves right now. We're not talking our language, some of us are not even wearing our own culture. We're not even living our own culture because of this white supremacy, adding to the brother what he said about white supremacy. So, in everything that we do, we will succeed. Because we need help from the books, we need help from the very same systems that kill us. A black man and a black woman is a god and a goddess. I'm the earth as a queen or as a female, as a black female. I am the earth. You are the sun is the man. You are the sun, you shine light for me. I produce. So whatever the sun is giving the earth to produce, the earth will produce. If you, black men, give me evilness to produce, I will produce that evilness. Because we are creators, There is no other creator than you. There is no other creator than you, my brother. There is no other creator than you. You don't need to have special clothing. You don't need to be special. You don't need to be known. You just need to know yourself. If you know yourself, you will practice yourself. If we want to help ourselves, we have everything that we want as black people. Look outside, we have trees. We are natural witches. Being a witch is being a magician. There's nothing wrong. If you are sitting there, I want to change it, I want to make a banana. There's nothing wrong, I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with that. But why we don't take the same natural resources that were given by our ancestors to win this war? Because we say when you're fighting the white race, it's fine. We don't have guns. We don't have bombs. We're sitting here right now. We're discussing, okay, how can we decolonize white? But you don't have anything. If the white people can come here with their guns, we're done.
The Europeans have never won a war with black people where we collectively decided we're going to fight them. Every war they beat us in, they would get black folk to fight the other black folks. So just to say we can figure out the things to do physically to deal with them. Besides, if you read the book, it's very important. My name is Irritated Genie, that's what they call me. It comes from a book on the Haitian Revolution. You read the Haitian Revolution, the Haitians didn't have weapons, so when they said we'll get their weapons, so what did they do? They joined with every military to fight the other European powers until they got down to one, which was the French, and now they had themselves armed, and then they beat the French, and they beat everybody in the world. The most successful revolution in the history of the world was the Haitian Revolution. So, if we want to talk about the physical part, we can do it because we've done it before, we just got to know the victory. We study the losses, and we know what we don't have, we don't study what we do have. I just told you, the man came from here, he trained the 2 tennis champions of the world. What does that mean? That means we got people here that know how to make champions. So we got some things. Me, okay, I've been put out of the country. I've been banned for 5 years from Bermuda. Why? Because we figured out in the 21st century the solution, straight black pride. All I did was give a lecture discussing black family and the history of racism, but talking about the war that they're waging on homosexuality and African people. The white government of Bermuda, after that, with the black people standing in 250 people in the auditorium, full applause. The black people loved it on the island. In fact, the Monday was coming up, they were supposed to vote on it. Once the black people came to the lecture, they voted against gay marriage and everything. I got a 5-year ban from the white government. The black people were so angry in Bermuda that they banned me for 5 years. In 2017, they voted the white government out. I'm saying that to say, we'll sit around and say, what can we do? We got a white government. No, it don't work that way. When you're in a war, you fight. So we gave the information, it impacted the black people. The easy answer would have been, oh, you got banned for 5 years, it's over. No, it ain't over. The black people said it ain't over. When it's time to vote again, we've given it all of the whites got put out of the country. So we can win the physical part. The chemical biological warfare. Stop making our own food. I mean, we just talked about it. The brother said we got the resources, we got to get into the mind and get it done, but okay, so we get into the mind and get it done. We just do what we got to do to get it done. It's not that hard. We make it more hard by talking about what we can't do and how hard it is. Stop talking about doing it. I've never done anything before as it relates to nothing doing farming. But since we were going to start straight black gardening, I went out and bought a tiller. I ain't never had a tiller. I didn't know how to start a tiller. I didn't know how to put fuel in the tiller. I went out and got the tiller. Got my son outside. 3 years old, let's go. And we started tilling and growing food. So much food that when the tiller got cold in November, we had peppers growing so much we couldn't eat all the peppers. I didn't know how to do that. But since it had to be done, we didn't talk about what we can't do, we just started doing it. So we can beat the war on the chemical biological warfare. We start getting our children vaccinated. We go back to a diet that's more healthy. We start trying to be conscious of that. We can do that. The sort of vaccination, that iteration, is just as simple. Mothers start telling your children, you date outside your race, get out of the house, don't come back. Fathers start telling your children, if you date outside your race, stay out of the family. What African don't want to be accepted by their family? Ain't that part of African culture? Is that part of most of our culture? We are in 2018 trying to fight a 1918 war. That's what we're talking. We're looking at this battle. Yeah, black power. And I still say black power, don't get me wrong, bro. That shit, I wore my shirt yesterday. People there, they black power all day. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying black power, yeah, the white supremacy, yeah, that's cool. Well, when they come to us, we're going to stand up to the bigs, yeah, that's cool too. But in reality, that ain't how the war is being waged right now. So that's cool with the rhetoric, but the people on the battlefield that matter are the people that are fighting the battles of that day. So in other words, the reason Nat Turner, Dessalines, Queen Nanny were relevant is because slavery was the issue. They wasn't fighting all this other stuff, they was fighting slavery. That's what made them relevant. When police brutality was the issue, the people that went to fight the police, the Black Panther Party, they was relevant because they wasn't talking about fighting slavery. Why? That wasn't the issue. The issue was they killing our people. If you look at it here, when they were trying to force the students to speak Afrikan, and the students said, no, we will speak our own language. That was the war of culture and consciousness. The students went out there, those are your freedom fighters. Why? Because that was the issue of that day. That was the war. We're still, it's not bad, it's just that we haven't understood. They changed the strategy of extermination. They changed even the strategy. It's not about exploitation no more. It's extermination. Now that they changed the war, we're still over here with the musket gun. They got drones dropping. We still fighting with our musket guns, putting one thing and shooting one bullet. It don't work that way no more. What is the new war for African extermination? Nothing is more effective than being able to get a black man to not want a black woman or a woman at all. Wow. Nothing is more effective if you want to exterminate a race than to take the woman who's supposed to be looking for the right one. Everybody not welcome over here. Got to be the right one. And that's the one I'm going to have children with and a family with. And maybe her say, I don't want a man. I want a woman. It's the most lethal, destructive because of this. First of all, Because again, we're using, like the brother was saying, European theory. We're not using our African mind. In our African mind, a man goes with a woman. Ain't no question about it. So if that's our African identity, then the question would be, well then why are some black people not doing it? There's two reasons. The primary reason, ain't even no debate about it, this is what I do. Sexual abuse. Children are being molested. And this is the impact that it has. On the boys, when they're molested, most times it's a male. It disturbs his natural development. It makes him question his manhood and his malehood. It makes him question, this is stuff you don't say out loud, would any woman ever want to be with me after what just happened to me? It makes him ask the question, if some part of it, because a lot of times they prey on boys who might not have any friends or any fathers in their lives or whatever. So he appreciates the attention, and something happens to him, then he asks himself, did I enjoy or appreciate that? Because at his young age, he don't understand the violation that occurred. So I enjoyed the attention, but I didn't like what happened. But I can't reconcile. So now he begins to surrender his natural manhood and get involved in this sick freakishness of homophilia as a battered and hurt individual. For the women, what happens? When a woman, usually a male, these days more and more females going, but she's violated. So here's when we come to that woman and say, we talking all this black talk, the white man is the devil. She's seen the devil face to face and went, nothing white about it. So her resentment for the black male who did this to her is so deep, she don't want no intimacy with a man. But she's still a woman and she wants intimacy. So now, those females that have already been brought into this death style can now recruit her into it, because now after that violation, she's open for intimacy, but not with a male, because every time a male gets close, she remembers that feeling. And psychologically, she don't want that feeling because it was pain and violation. And she's more comfortable with a woman where she feels safe now. So they draw her into the destruction of the race. She don't know that, though. That's one way it happens, sexual abuse. Or two, they now have a sophisticated sexual abuse. It used to be a physical touching. Now, they got TV. Now they got propaganda, where they can implant the idea in the mind that this is a wonderful thing. And now it's still a sexual abuse because the natural African mind has no space for this. But now, through the teacher at the school, through the television, TV show that you're watching with your favorite character, now our enemies are sophisticated, putting their mind into our child. And now the child, because ain't nobody explaining to the child what's happening, is being molested mentally and psychologically and drawn into, and it's made to look like it's heaven. Oh, this woman with this woman in the color purple, look how bad the man treats her, but Suge Avery comes and saves the day, and it's the most wonderful. Suge like honey, now eyes like a bee. Who don't want to be like a bee at honey, you know? So now they're drawing our people into the insanity. This is the part they leave out, though. What level of drug abuse does the homosexual, homophile community use? How many pedophiles are synonymous with homosexuals in this whole death style? How many diseases are created with this? How many possible children that would have been born out of generations of children are now exterminated before, forget about before they were born, before the thought could be created for them to be born, because the woman ain't even thinking about being with a man that would be the first place that the seed would begin to be. The man ain't even thinking about being with a woman, he's looking at a male lusting after him. This is pure European savagery, but it's worse for us. It's worse than savagery. It's absolute death. Because after this, there's nothing else. See, this is the thing. With homosexual pedophiles in our community, we don't need white folks to destroy our culture. All we need is that nasty uncle who looking at this young boy right here and say, well, you wait, go to the bathroom. While we ain't even getting this good information, he trickles around to the bathroom, and after 10 minutes, that boy destroyed for life. And the boy don't want to come out and say something because we haven't created an environment that's an African environment where we share what's happening. so we can find out that he's out there and do something about it. And he does that to every single one of them until one of them says something. If one of them says something, then you got 30, 40, 50 children destroyed. You don't need them European. They're creating the problems in our community. And the individuals in our community with the Euro personality, that now you never have to see a white face. They're pillaging and eating the souls of African people. In every, listen, there's not no place I go where the level of sexual abuse in the black community is not something absolutely ridiculous. Like, in some places, you don't meet a sister that hasn't been raped. In some places, you don't meet dudes that haven't been touched with it. In the Bronx, under Zulu, Bambata, African Bambata, they call them. Yeah. Under the Zulu nation, you ain't had no youngers that didn't get molested. It was molesting all of them. And it's so, that's why I say, when I say it's so dangerous, this was happening. Before we even develop these young boys and girls to the point where they can produce a family and take this information we got and do it, take it to the next level, and we can say, man, we was talking, but what y'all was doing was beautiful. Y'all got gardens in every house in Johannesburg. And now it's all the way down to Pretoria on this side, and it's all the way down to Vendo on this side. Before we can even get there, she's got to overcome the pain of sexual abuse and say, I don't hate black men, I'm going to give another one a chance. This little boy got to say, I'm not, something wrong with me because some dude did this to me. That doesn't mean that I can't recover. That's what we leaving our children in a situation to do, and it's being accepted now. So it ain't just that it's happening, it's quiet. Now, it's on TV. Now, it's not that, like we're talking about it as a problem. Now, the children are going into the classroom and being taught. Little boy, again, I have the video, I can show you internationally. I can show you where they got videos where the children are 5 years old in Uganda, sitting down, and the parents don't know because the videos that they're watching on the TV are telling them how to masturbate and how to have sex with each other. And boys and girls, these are 5-year-olds in classroom. But the parents don't know because it's a UN curriculum that's going through. So what they're doing is, and this is the deep thing. This thing is, because I want you to understand, this is the war. This is the thing that once you start talking about it, ain't nobody comfortable no more. And that's why I say, when we talk about the war, this is how you know who's really fighting the war. Whatever the real issue is, that's what they're taking. And ain't nobody taking this war. That's why I do what I do now. That's why I don't be hearing the whole one. I take the war. I know who I am. It don't matter where I go, I take this war. And when I start taking this war, people get uncomfortable. People start getting uncomfortable, don't want to come back. Don't want, you know why? Because people are compromised. Either they're involved, they know who's doing it, and or they want to fight it, but they realize if they say anything, they're going to get fired. They can be put out of a social environment. We were with a brother from the PAC, Pan African Congress, a warrior brother, was speaking the other day. He was doing a lecture, and it just hit me so hard because I've seen this even in Pan African. He joined the Pan African Congress, got his gun, and went to the bush. I think he was 16 or 15 or something. And he says, I didn't say this. I mean, when he said it, man, it's just, I said, we in a real war. He said, and the truth of it is, he was saying, we say that Baba Mangalisha Sabukwe's voice is died, but his voice hasn't died and been muffled. It lives in us. He said, but many of the leaders, and y'all know this, it didn't die on its own, and it wasn't no white folks or ANC that killed it. It was some of you leaders that killed it, because when the young people were trying to live what they told us to live, you tried to hush us down. Then he said, and even worse, when many of us young people walked into the camps in exile to fight for freedom, the generals, some of you filthy generals, told us, and don't you dare think when you come in here that you are not going to be used for our sexual lusts. So now you got 16-year-old boys who said, I'm going to give up everything, my family, everything in my life to fight for freedom for my people. Give me a gun, I'm going to kill somebody so my people can be free. And then walk in the door and somebody say, I'm going to bend you over, old boy. They have infiltrated to the point, I don't call myself a black nationalist or Pan-Africanist anymore. Not because I don't believe in the principles, but in the US and everywhere I've gone, I don't go into a black nationalist group where there's some fag sitting there, or some pro-homo, some homosexual, somebody that wants to defend his behavior under the banner of Garvey. And I can't fight every, if the African, if the black nationalists would have stood, I didn't know this too long, 20 years. If the black nationalists or the Pan-Africans would have stood up against this, I'd have said, hey, I'm a Pan-African. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna say that. I'm the only one in the room, and this is called Pan-Africanism with Garvey, and I'm the only one that was speaking against homosexuality. Nobody got nothing to say. We're going to be being too harsh. How would we be too harsh on a black man being a black? Garvey had a wife. Amy Garvey. He had 2 Amy Garveys. There's something special about Amy Garvey. He had 2 wives. They're the same name. Ain't no Garvey with no dude. Could we have had a Garvey up in like a race with another man? We had with a father Garvey. What about Sabugwe? Baba Sleeper Biko. We just met his wife. I didn't meet his husband. I didn't meet his male lover. I met his wife. I'm honored to have a picture with his wife. Not a male that got called, but a woman, a real, natural born woman, his wife. And in this room and every room we go in, I want you to understand, I'm not talking about Azania, I'm talking the whole world. I travel the world. I get in the room and start talking about the black man being with the black woman, which is the most natural thing in the world, because that's how every single one of us here got into this room. And people get nervous and quiet. Because it means the real war of today, not the one that we can say, that's right, black Pan-African, black, yeah, that sounds good. Well, then stand up for black power, which can only be created when black people are born, which requires a man and a woman to produce a child. Stand up for that. Oh, that's too much. Because you ain't no different than the ones back in the day. Because at the end of the day, we got to fight on our hands one way or the other. Well, what can we negotiate between a boy and his backside and some grown man? With our daughter and some woman lusting out, what is the negotiation point? A graveyard? It's a war.
It's a war.
It's a war, and they're winning. Because I am on the African continent. And the brother went out the other evening to a club and he told me the women won't want to win. There were so many of them on there, you said you couldn't even know how to pull them off. Over 50% of the women was all on each other. It wasn't just dancing like friendly, they were just, and he said the guys with the guys. Open homophilia. Am I lying? That's not happening here? I know I'm not lying because I have it. When I came in May, I took my phone, because I didn't know this. I told you I stayed with this board. I told you I'm in the board house, we have nice TV. So I turned on the TV. And I'm sitting there with the board's house, nice TV, laid it back. Every video, the dark-skinned black man that's the one singing, is chasing out the light-skinned female, but the dark-skinned and brown-skinned women are very comfortable, get liquor bottles poured on, and they're shaking and they gyrating. But the real love interest is the light one. Many times they wasn't even black, they was like white or Asian or something. Every video, the black women are not interested in the black man, and there's more lesbianism going on than anything. I watch this here, on my own phone watching it, and I'm like, so you mean to tell me that the main vein in this nation that I'm in has accepted this? Don't you know that South Africa, Azania is the doorway to Africa? When I go to Zimbabwe, you know what they talk about? They don't talk about, that's right, they don't talk about no other Africans. Man, they got everything going on in South Africa. Oh, South Africa this, South Africa, I'm in Zimbabwe. Say something about Zimbabwe. I mean, you all they talk about. Well, I want you to understand why I'm here. Alright? If Africans in America are the poison that's being exported to you, to emulate, what are you being used as for the rest of the brothers and sisters on the continent? So just like you say we need Africans from America, case in point, to come and say this stuff is sick, what we're giving you is filth, we're damaging you, stop following us. There's a few of us that can come bring some positive stuff, and I'll bring those people that have good stuff to offer you, but for the most part, what we bring you is garbage. What we're being exported to you from us is garbage, it's a death culture. The same thing is happening here. As I just came from Zimbabwe, they're following you. And just like you see us as leaders, I want you to hear it from me. Y'all are leaders too. The African world is looking at you. You got to start changing your opinion, or you got to speak up on this. You got to be seen and felt and heard. You got to be able to talk about your experiences and what happened. You know now. There's one thing before you knew. You're in this room now. You can feel it now. You know what I'm talking about. You got a responsibility. Not to fight yesterday's battle. I ain't talking about yesterday's battle. Yesterday's battlefield, we be real brave talking about Garvey. That sounds good. Be like Garvey. It wasn't safe to do what Garvey did. It wasn't safe to do what Baba Sobukwe did. That's why he spent so much time in prison. It wasn't safe. Then we glorify these people. They don't want to do what they do. What is the glory for if we're not going to follow in their footsteps? If they took their battle of their day, why are we not taking our battle of our day? I'm sick of being on this. Look, as I say, people are different. You know, a lot of egomaniacs out here. I want to sit down. I'm 44, I'm going on 45. I want to sit down and guide. I want some 25-year-olds to come up here and say, we got to fight this and start with it. I sit back, try to figure out how to get the money. I don't want to be sitting here doing this. I do it because somebody got to do it. And everybody else is a cow. That's why I do it, because I can, and I've been called to do it. I don't want to be up here. I mean, I do. I love you, but I'm saying, I would rather, how many young people out there, they're the ones that got to fight this. They're not going to make me gay. They're not going to make me that way. They ain't going to make him like that. They ain't going to make her like that. That's not what they're coming after. They're coming after them. So where are these young people standing up taking this battle? Where are their parents saying, this is the battle, we're going to help our children stand up for what's right? Where is the movement and the motion? Are we not Africans? Do we not know that a black man's supposed to be a black woman? Are we that confused and dead? Can I have excitement when I'm talking about chemical and biological warfare? Oh, we want to talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about it, brother. Everybody got something to say. When I talk about a black man being a black woman, silence. Like you're going to get hit by a lightning ball or something. I told you sometimes it comes out when I'm doing extemporaneous, so I'm going to stop yelling at y'all before somebody get up and say, we'll show you the Zulu, you start yelling or something. But let me ask you, how are we going to wrap this thing up? Well, you know what? Let me do this. You going to come up here, Doc?
Yeah. I'd like to ask a question before I come up.
Yes, sir.
Do you know of any situation where a child can be born gay?
Okay, excellent question. And I want everybody to follow me on this one because this is a very, very, very important question because it's part of the psychological brainwashing that they do to our people. I'm going to answer that in a way. Let's talk about African children because it is very dangerous for us to put ourselves in the same context as whites or Asiatics because we're not like them. We're different. I want you to answer this question. I want everybody to listen because I'm going to ask you. I'm not going to give you the answer, but it's obvious. The question I'm going to ask you at the end is who came up with this argument and whose agenda it was. And you'll know by the time we get there. You should be able to figure this one out. Okay. Would everybody in here agree that to be a homosexual, it means that you make a decision, your decision, to be sexually involved on some level with someone of the same gender?
Yes.
Is that an acceptable answer? Okay. So,
It's a decision. Everything is based on your psychological decision. That is why in Africa we have a social construct of making you a man.
yes, sir. But let me do this. I want you real simple before we go.
Sometimes it's not, because you see when a woman is pregnant, especially here in South Africa, for the rest of the 9 months you need to go to the hospital or the clinic and they give you the drugs. They give you a pack of drugs to drink. And when you drink, some of the people that give birth afterwards, they give birth to disabled children, gay children, or sometimes it's a choice.
I have to stop it because I want to be clear. You went somewhere different. I didn't say that. That's what I'm saying. By definition, I'm not talking about what I'm not talking about. I'm talking about by the definition. In order for us to classify someone as homosexual, in order for us to classify that, doesn't that mean that that individual has made a decision to be with someone of their same gender? In other words, like let me see what I'm saying. So for what she's saying, if somebody was born that way, but what if they never go to be with somebody of the same gender? Can we classify them as homosexual? No. Right. So we can't. So the only practical definition we have to use is one that allows us to identify a person. I understand what you're saying, but true, but I'm saying to identify a homosexual by definition, by the definition of it, someone who makes the decision, no matter what drove the decision, their decision to have sexual contact with someone of the same gender. That's fair, right? Can a baby make a decision to have sexual contact with somebody of the same gender?
No, because they're not introduced in such a way like that.
Do they have the cognitive capacity? Do they even know their own gender? Okay. So then, before we go into real sophisticated answers, by definition, can an African child, baby that just came out of the womb, make a decision to have sex with somebody of the same gender? No. So then here's the question. If it ain't even possible, by the very definition of being born, who has the interest in sexualizing a child, a baby, haven't even hit puberty yet? Who has the interest in sexualizing them so that we can even ask the question?
The social concept, the people who keep the social structure of our society.
And what is their specific interest? What type of person wants to sexualize the child? Say it again. Now, bingo, right dead center. The pedophiles are creating the arguments to destabilize the African mind. Thus, because see, you understand what you're saying. We don't understand the psychology. Once you say a child may be born gay, you're really saying the little boy and the baby can decide to have sex. You just sexualized the baby. And if a baby can decide to have sex, then the next thing is, well, is it wrong to have sex with the baby? But see, we don't think that way because we're not pedophiles, so we think that it's like because we're listening to the white folks instead of taking our own African sensibility to say, I don't care to be 5 years old, I don't want to know nothing about sex. That ain't what we want to math, science, engineering, all these type of things. The pedophiles, it's very important. The pedophiles that run this world, the brother was talking about the Jesuits and the Catholic Church, if we talk about the small hats, the white so-called Jews and Zionists, the folks that run the world, you just saw the thing that's coming out about Obama's administration and the pedophiles that were raping all the black children there. Why do you think you're seeing all this stuff out there? Cecil Rhodes was a pedophile, homosexual, Neville Pickering, it's in my book. He spent his whole time here with that. Molesting children and being a homosexual. So they're now trying to convert us psychologically to it. And they make these arguments that instead of us stepping back and just simply sitting down, see how easy that argument is to defeat? I mean, a baby can't even make that decision. So now you've ended the argument that the person be born gay. But it doesn't go against what she said. Can they be using the atrazine and these chemicals to disgender children? Absolutely. We're not saying that they're not doing that. What we're saying, their argument is to socially condition us to accept the sexualization of a child. Once you've accepted that, then it's easier for them to do what they're doing publicly now in the United States of America, which is right now as we speak, in Europe and the US, I'm not telling you what I think, you can put it up online, it'll pop right up. They're working, just like they did with homosexuality to legalize it, they're working to legalize pedophilia. Publicly. Denmark and Holland is already legal in the countries that do it in Europe.
The popes are doing it. The popes and the religious leaders are the ones that are leading.
So then the question is, as Africans, do we get led by the popes and things like the brother said?